Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Just gonna do a kind of final deadline stream. A little bit unsure of the team news at this point. I've only made one transfer so far. It was Diaz out into Alonso. Um, and the main reason why I did that was just for budget. But I think Salah being potentially benched is the only question that I have as to whether I take another hit. I suppose the question is what I do with Leicester, which seems like a team that is going to feature the Barnes kind of Vardy, Madison trio up front for Southampton, and then you have the options, of course, just going to KDB or Mane as well this week. But I think the most tempting option for people who aren't in a sticky situation is going to be going to Kane this week. I think Kane is going to be the best captaincy option. I know there's news about food poisoning and things like that, but I really can't imagine that affecting things too much for Tottenham. I really think that they're going to roll over this Norwich team. Unfortunately, there's just too much of a gulf between those two teams. And if I was to make a transfer, unfortunately, I guess one option I could do is to go both into Madison and Vardy if I'm that scared about Leicester. Southampton do have a history of getting rolled over by Leicester, but I don't think it's necessarily going to happen today. I'm also tempted to just keep Salah. Ultimately, he is in the Golden Boot race. He could come on at halftime. The only question I have in my mind is, are other kind of premium picks going to do better with the full 90 minutes? And it's kind of hard to decide because I think KDB is a great option, but a lot of people seem to think that Villa will be able to keep that game low scoring. It's possible, but we've also heard news that Emi Martinez might be benched, and that's going to affect things too. So that's kind of preying in my mind. Hi Z, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a lovely day on Monday. Jordan Parr says Richie, Zaha to Holgate to Tony, Mount, and Sessegnon. I think those are all good transfers. I'd be happy to back all three of them. Obviously, if it's a -8, that's a little bit tough, but I can understand if you are going out of those three players for the final game of the season, and you think there's going to be upside there, especially if you expect Everton to lose the clean sheet and then also Zaha not to do well. One thing I have said though is that Zaha does seem to do well traditionally versus United. If I was to, I wonder if there's any other way you could, maybe if I'd avoid the Richie move, if that's at all possible. I'm not exactly sure how the budget allows, but that would be something that I'd prefer. Hey Alex, hope you're well. Thank you again. Chasing a league in top 10k, Salah to Mane, Richarlison to Tony, and Coutinho to Madison for a -8. So it seems like a lot of people like Richarlison to Tony. Is that mostly just because of budget reasons? Because I feel like that move is a little bit of I would say for a hit, it's not that worthwhile. Salah to Mane I can somewhat understand, and then Coutinho to Madison, I really do like that move. I think if I was to go out of Salah, I might even just go straight to Madison. I might prefer him over Mane, to be honest, just because the fixture seems a little nicer on paper. Worried he might not start, have budget. In terms of Richarlison getting rested, that's a fair point, sorry. Is there any sort of team news around Everton? Because I haven't really followed them too much. Just going to look at Twitter as well. Luis Diaz or Matip. I am tempted to think that... Yeah, I'm not sure. I am tempted to think that the situation for Liverpool is that they will be pushing for the league, and potentially they could. In case you didn't know, Everton, okay, Richarlison isn't likely to play. I mean, that's possible. Yeah, I'd like to keep my Arsenal players for that specific reason, which means I can only see myself moving out of Salah into a -4 for another midfielder, and I think KDB might be that option. The other question, of course, is just Mane. Wolves, I need to kind of see their position on the league table as well. I wonder if they have anything to fight for. No, Wolves have absolutely nothing to fight for. Ultimately, it just might be the case that Leicester could leapfrog them into 8th place, but they can't compete for Europe, so it's not really that interesting. As far as United, obviously, I guess they could... They're just battling for that spot between West Ham, so both those two teams are interesting to dip into. I mean, you have Fernandes as an option as well, but do I have any faith in Man United really versus Crystal Palace? Not entirely sure, to be quite honest. Who do you guys think is the best kind of Salah replacement in that situation in terms of the midfielders if I couldn't get to Kane? Because my main issue is I can't go into Kane through a -8 because of Doherty. So that's troublesome. Will Wood, Salah plus Pookie to Kane and Kulu or Barnes. Yeah, I really like the Kane and Kulu move. Potentially Barnes is a little bit more interesting for a -4. Ranked 15k, 18 points off, top 10k. Kane captain over Son. Yes, I agree with the Kane captain over Son. I do like the Barnes variation for the differential. You could, for example, exploit on Southampton having a terrible game. Hi mate, how are you? Glad to see the stream back. Not sure whether to go Salah to Son or Salah to Mane. Currently tying with someone. I think if you're tying with someone in your league, I'd be so much more comfortable captaining Son. That's just what I have to say. Especially if you're close. If you were kind of chasing, then maybe Mane would be a good differential. But I feel like if you're close, Son is the best captaincy option. You've already made -8 transfers. This is your current squad. I mean, it looks good on paper. I think Zaha is the only person that people have questions over. But I think Zaha versus United is actually a sneakily good fixture. Your Reece is very nice to have as well. It's a nice -8. I do like it. And the Sun captaincy is on the money, I think. If I'm keeping Salah, I could go Doherty to Sessegnon. But what would be the point of going Doherty to Sessegnon? Because if I take, let's say, if I imagine that Everton are going to put a weak side in, I don't really need a third defender, if that makes sense. A fifth defender, because I would just be playing a 4-5-1. I would still prefer probably Salah 45 minutes over Sessegnon, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe you disagree, but alternatively, I'd rather just a midfielder over Sessegnon. Appy might start at right wing back, possibly his last game. That's possible. I mean, he could also start right centre back. I don't think much changes. Martinelli to Barnes. I don't really think moving out of Martinelli is a good option. I think Martinelli is actually good to keep. Hey Fran, KDB to Son, okay. Also considering. So what's the kind of logic behind KDB to Son? Are you kind of worried that KDB won't do well today, or is it just because you're kind of fearful of the Son captaincy? Because I'm just thinking, what is the kind of balance of the budget on your team, James? Because I imagine a lot of people can afford both Kane and Son, if that makes sense. Early team news for Barnes too. Yeah, I know Barnes could play, so I think Spurs could score 4-5, so we might just do Kulu. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. Good free hit. This is an interesting free hit. So you got Sessegnon, you're playing Robertson, Alonso, James. Yep, I like those. Son, I'm not sure. I mean, Odegaard, I guess that's a bench option, right? We're playing 4-5-1. Am I right? I think so. Sorry, no, we're actually playing 4-5-1, so you would be playing Odegaard to start. Are there better options than Odegaard is the real question. I think, honestly, on a free hit, you might want to consider tapping into at least one of the Leicester mids. I think covering Maddison might be a little bit nicer than owning Odegaard. If there's any way you can kind of change your team around so that you can get into Maddison, I think I would really, really like this draft. It's tough though, isn't it? So we've got James, Alonso, Robertson, Sessegnon. I mean, one option you could have is going Matip, I suppose. But I just don't like Odegaard, I think. Hoping for the best for you as well. Let's just have a look at the chat. Would you consider captaining Diaz? Haven't transferred him yet, but looking for a differential captain. I mean, definitely. I think he got rest last week, and he actually has looked like one of Liverpool's top two players, in my opinion. Kane and Maddison -4, Mane, and I prefer Kane and Maddison a lot more. I think it's slightly less differential, but I think there's a reason why that is. Kane isn't actually owned by a lot of the player population. And then also Maddison, for me, even though he's highly owned, I just think he's a better option than Tony in that kind of situation when we're thinking about the two premiums. Kane and Kulu better than Vardy and Diaz. I like Kane and Kulu more just because of the fixture. Mahrez to KDB, Salah to Son, and Rudiger to Sessegnon from -8. So what's the reasoning behind dropping Rudiger? Because I feel like Chelsea could still get a clean sheet. That's my and it's also Rudiger's final game in Chelsea. I feel like he will play. Saying Maximum or Nketiah. I'm more minded towards Nketiah just because I think Everton will rotate. Ideal transfers here, have no free transfers or chips. I mean, okay, let's have a look at your team. On paper, you'd be playing, I guess you'd be playing Sa, maybe. Would you prefer Sa or would you prefer Foster? Maybe you'd prefer Sa. I think you definitely play that back four of Rudiger, Matip, Robertson, Cancelo. You play Saka, Mount, De Bruyne, Kulusevski. So you've got a 4-4-2 there. I think the only option here is to move out of Ings, I would say. And I think you would captain Kane. And maybe take a punt out of moving or going out of Ings. Alternatively, you could just play White. Yeah, you could just play White 5-4-1. I think that's a safe and simple play as well. Here's your team. So you got Chris Woods. A lot of defensive injury. I think Alonso's an interesting pick. Kane and Maddison -4 money. I like Kane and Maddison more. But Alonso's interesting if you can kind of fit him into your team. Any other options? I mean, you could have an Eriksen punt. Sean, as a Liverpool fan, I feel the duty to captain one of the Villa players. I mean, it depends. Like, do you want to do well in this game week, or do you want to just kind of hope for the best situation possible for your club? Because I feel like everyone plays FPL slightly differently. If you want to captain a Villa player, you know, you're completely entitled to do so. Kane, Diaz, Alonso -8. Diaz or Maddison? It's tough. I feel like obviously if you take Salah out of your team, you kind of want that Liverpool player back in. But then Maddison also has a fantastic game on paper himself. And they've been in electric form, simply put. So in this situation, I'd probably just be happy with Kane and Maddison. Hey, Fran, is Havertz to Diaz worth a -4? Probably not. I think Havertz plays this game. Unless you think he's not going to start. Watching the stream right now, thoughts on the team? Maybe swap bench order or something. Already done cash to Alonso, Zaha to Mount. Yeah, those are good transfers. I think the way you have your team set up makes sense. The bench makes sense. No complaints. Captaincy's good as well. No issues. Sons for Salah is already the free move. Yeah, I understand. I'm just questioning whether you think Havertz is going to be benched, because I think Havertz is still a good pick. It's still Watford ultimately. Could still afford Maddison, Barnes, and Tony in place with Saka and Ings. Was thinking Saka to Diaz and Ings to Nketiah and Saka to Diaz, just to get Diaz in for this week. I mean, you could do that for sure. The main thing I have that worries me is I think Saka is going to be a good pick versus Everton this week, especially if Everton pull out a weak side in Gameweek 38. Yes, I could go Maddison and De Gea instead of Alisson. I mean, De Gea is not a great option, to be honest, so I'm not a huge fan of De Gea. I mean, let's have a look at clean sheet options, really. From slightly weaker teams. I don't know, it's a bit, or cheaper options rather. You know, Schmeichel's not a bad keeper this week. I think it's not too awful if we're thinking about a cheaper keeper that we think could get a, because if we're looking at the like Brighton West Ham, I see both teams scoring. I mean, you're not going to touch Man City game because it's expensive. You're not going to touch Chelsea. You're not going to touch Liverpool. Brentford, Leeds, I feel like that's both teams to score. Arsenal, Everton, potentially both teams to score. I mean, Arsenal's actually not a bad pick this week. If you think Everton are going to pull out a weak side, Ramsdale's not bad too. Are Mount and Mane good differential captains? I think I think Mount is actually a better differential captain. I'm not so sure about Mane this week. I know everyone loves to think about Mane Game Week 38. It actually won first place in last season, but yeah, I think Son is so scary, especially with Kane as captaincy options, that I'm just not sure if I'd like to play with that sort of fire. Hold KDB. Martinez not starting. Maybe I hold him. So scared of Son. I might just take a -4 to go into KDB, to be quite honest, and just, yeah, whatever. Let's just do it. What do you think? What of Matip or Sessegnon or Robbo? I prefer Sessegnon, I think. Arnold, Robertson, Diaz starting. What are your thoughts? I mean, that's perfectly fine. I feel like going triple Liverpool. I mean, they've got a lot to fight for. I'm not sure if they keep a clean sheet, but ultimately, Wolves aren't the most attacking of teams. They have played with Pedro Neto a little bit lately. He's a bit more interesting, but I'm not a huge fan. A lot of people are suggesting the kind of Havertz -4 for Diaz. Are we sure Havertz is going on the bench, though? That's my question. If you think Havertz will be benched, then fair enough. Give me your spicy suggestion for Diaz and Rich plus 0.8 in the bank to bench Saka and Kedia. Should have sold Saka as soon as you got him in. Yeah, you're welcome for that, by the way. Do you really need to take hits here? I feel like your team's pretty strong. See, the thing is, I would only really take a hit here to go into Kane, because for me, there's so many options at cheaper prices that are already good in the midfield. Like Maddison for me is super interesting in the midfield, price wise this week. So I don't think you need to do like a two-way hit, if that makes sense. And also, I don't know. I kind of back Arsenal, but maybe because you can see that I own Arsenal, but you don't seem to agree with me, that guy. As a City fan, I back the KDB transfer for sure. Thanks, James. Yeah, I'll definitely be thinking about that as we close into the deadline. One of Matip, Processor, and Robbo. Yeah, I think I answered that already. I do agree that in terms of your question, Ryan, that I think all three of them will start. Same Maximin or Nketiah, definitely play Nketiah. Yeah, like when I'm looking at your team, that guy, I generally just probably wouldn't make a transfer. I feel like so many people, as you can see in the chat, already want to move into Luis Diaz. Yes, okay, you have a little bit of a weak bench, and maybe there's scope to go for Sessegnon, but I don't think there's anything interesting here. I feel like you generally just play Saka and Nketiah. I would hold. It's not spicy to you, but I think it's the logical play. Salah and Dennis to Mane and Tony -4, or Salah, Dennis, and Coutinho for Maddison, Tony, and Bowen, or Pookie to Vardy instead of transferring out Coutinho for a -8. Look, I really love Maddison this week, but I think I can't go. I think you can't go wrong with Mane and Tony since you already have Son captaincy. So I think just keep it simple with the -4. Assuming I do the first one, bench and Nketiah or White. I think you bench White. I was thinking Saka to Diaz. Yeah, I think so. We did answer that. Assuming I do the first one, bench and Nketiah or White. It's interesting. I think you just bench White. Would you say Maddison plus the Tony move is better? So this is like another line of play where we move out of... Because what are we playing here, right? We're playing a 4-5-1. And you're just kind of worried that Saka won't do well versus Everton. Is that the main concern here? Because I feel like you're in the same situation as that guy where you're kind of proposing that Arsenal are going to do poorly, but I feel like they will do well. But if you really want to go out of Saka, then go for Maddison and Tony. Give me your I'll do Diaz to Cess and wait for Chelsea news. Do you think I should play Nketiah or Alonso? I think you go for Alonso, in my opinion. I know it kind of sucks to bench Nketiah here, but I feel like he's probably not going to hurt you too much. And I feel like Alonso's on paper going to get more points than Nketiah. It's his last game for Chelsea. Hopefully they play well. Hey Ryan, hope you're doing well. Sun captain's nice. Team looks great. Team looks great. Hey Hayden. So 1.9 in the bank, 1 free transfer. Thinking Mount in for Coutinho. Yep, Mount or Maddison seem like the best moves for you in your situation. I do like Mount. Start Cess if James or Alonso doesn't start. If they start, then I might do Nketiah to any random. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. You're kind of... I mean, but are you confident you would get the team news for Chelsea, though? That's kind of my question. Hey, Fran, thinking cash for Charlton, Ings to Tony, to James, Tony, Welbeck. Won't affect my rank in my mini league. Or do you have any other suggestion? Okay, let's see. So, any advice or thoughts would be amazing. Yep. So I think obviously with James, it's an interesting one because there might be a chance that James could play right centre back. So maybe Alonso's interesting. But I can see what you mean. You want to drop both Ings and yeah, fair enough. You want to drop Ings and Rich because Rich might not play. I think if you can play Mateta Tony, that might be better. Because ultimately, we're not confident about the United defense. We've never been this whole season. You can play Mateta. He scored a goal last week. Hopefully, he does it again. And you just get rid of one of the sort of forward options. Hey, this is a lot. I ignore if it's too much. Potential move. Scared to take a -8. But might be worth it. Defo taking the -4. So let's just have a look at your team on paper. I mean, obviously, we have to think about the Aston Villa options. You've already got Tony, which is really interesting. So that's nice. You're kind of ahead of the curve there. You've got Salah, Son, Mount. We've got to think about moving away from him. Love the Kane Madison move. What kind of situation? So what would we be playing here? So we'd be playing a 3-5-2. You could play a 3-4-3, really. I think, could you not just play a 3-4-3 within this team here? So what I'm thinking is you take the -4, you captain Kane or you captain Son, you play Madison, you play a 3-4-3. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at Gordon. So you do have to, it feels like you want to take him out too, right? Because Cash doesn't seem like a great option. Yeah, sorry, I completely missed that. So I think, yeah, we probably have to, I think the -8 is on the cards. And then here we would actually be playing the 3-4-3 that I was imagining. And who would we be taking out? So Coutinho for Madison. Sorry, Coutinho for Luis Diaz, which is much better. Yeah, sorry. I like the Luis Diaz -8 variation. That's really nice. Chasing 21 points to your mini league. Should you captain Mount might get benched? Yeah, good question. And should I also consider Cash to Sessegnon, Richarlison to Tony, Gordon to Madison for a -8? I mean, let's have a look at what your team starts off on paper. So you're playing Trent, Cancelo, Robertson, so you're 3 there. You're probably going to play Dubravka, if we're being honest. And then you're playing Zaha, Mount, De Bruyne, Son. So that's, you've already got 4 there. And your front line's a little bit weak because it seems like there could be rotation to Richarlison. So, yeah, I can see the logic for Richarlison to Tony. If we play Richarlison to Tony, then we've got Tony Mateta, who you'd be happy to play. And then you just play a 3-5-2. Maybe just try to push away from Gordon. I think... I think if you just go Gordon to Madison, if that's within your budget, and Richarlison to Tony, I feel like that's your best situation. Because if you think about it, you're chasing 21 points in your mini league. You don't want to take too many hits. You want to be as efficient as possible. I feel like Cash to Sessegnon is a nice transfer, but do you necessarily need to play Cash? I don't think so. I think you can just play Mateta, hopefully, and hope he does well. I guess the question is, does Mateta playing or a -4 plus Sessegnon's points match Mateta? And maybe I would actually lean towards saying Mateta would be interesting, just because United are so poor. I'll have to play Pukki and hope for the best. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I mean, ultimately, Pukki scoring could kill a lot of teams this game week, because I think a lot of the differential transfers have been to Sessegnon. So hopefully Pukki does well on his final game of the season. Good luck to you as well. Let's just go back to YouTube chat. So Kane and Kulu better than Vardy and Diaz. Yep, agree with that. I need to refresh the chat very briefly. Thanks for everything as well, Cyril. It's been lovely having you here. Best wishes for your summer from Mayo in the west of Ireland. Awesome. Thank you, Cyril. Matthew Anderson, Mane, Antonio, or Kane and Madison. Just prefer Kane and Madison. Lendo, thoughts on Richarlison / Zaha to Tony / Mount for -4. Yeah, I mean, I like Tony Mount for -4. Those are good moves. Does Simicast's Instagram story say anything? Do you want me to check his? Could you link his Instagram story to me on Twitter, please? Hi, Fran. What are your top picks for a triple captain? You have Son and Madison. I mean, I think Son triple captain is fantastic. I think I think since you have a triple captain, right, you don't have any fears about effective ownership in that sense. You know, you're just going for pure points. And for me, on paper, Son has a better game than Madison, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. I'm going to take the hit for out of Salah into De Bruyne. I know a lot of people are saying, you know, go into Madison, go into Mane, but I feel like De Bruyne has as good a game on paper as well. So I'll just back De Bruyne and then take that hit there. My final hit of the season. My bench is pretty disgusting though, so I'll need to stay tuned for some kind of Reece James news if he gets benched potentially. But I don't think we'll get that news on time. You could do Coutinho to Madison or cash to Alonso for a -8. Yeah, Alonso's a very popular move this game week. I feel like just because it seems like it's his last game in Chelsea, there's a high likelihood that he starts. He posted last time he started. So you think Robbo's going to get benched? Is that what we're thinking? I mean, it could be a possibility. What is most important, having Mount or having another high-budget defender? What team are you thinking about in terms of having a high-budget defender? Because what I'm thinking with City is that I feel like they do have a chance of losing a clean sheet. There are a few teams who actually run double City defense, but not too many. Ultimately, Laporte's ownership is 30%. When you're looking at Liverpool, I think that is a little bit scary, not owning double Liverpool, because it seems like most people have Robertson Trent, or at least a variation of Robertson / Trent plus one of Van Dijk or Matip. So that is a little scarier. I think Liverpool ownership is something you might want to shield against, but I think the upside with Mount versus Watford is just there. So I would say Mount for me. Diaz captain or Kane or Son? I actually really like Kane as the captaincy. Thank you, Rob, as well. Thanks for all the help and congrats on getting married. Thank you so much. Had I discovered your channel early in the season, might have made top 100k. Got a 10-point lead in my mini league. Honestly, Rob, I think you've won here in terms of mini league. I would love to have a better season. I didn't play very well this year, particularly myself. But it's actually really encouraging to see that so many people following the channel have done extremely well. And it's always a pleasure to have you guys and an honor to see you guys do well. So thank you very much. And also good luck with retaining your 10-point lead in the mini league. So yeah, this is going to be my final team of the season. Oh, that bench is a little worrisome. But I mean, I can't see many variations where any of these players don't start apart from James. Maybe Nketiah also could get benched, but I don't see that happening. Kulusevski, he's a worrisome point, but I feel like ultimately, I don't know, if Broja can pull out some magic, that would be preferred. So Ryan's saying, you're actually considering Diaz differential. Absolutely, I can see what you mean. I think Luis Diaz is good enough as a kind of differential to own 100% of. I'm not super sure that I would love to captain him because I feel like there is a possibility, because Diaz is such an important player, he might also get a little bit of rest, right? Because there are almost two priorities with Liverpool here. If, let's say, they get towards a winning position by, I don't know, let's say half-time, there could be scope for Luis Diaz to be subbed off quite early so he actually gets enough rest for the Champions League, because he is probably going to start with the Champions League final. That's my personal opinion. The same could also happen to Mane, but that's really if they kind of blow Wolves apart, which maybe you probably wouldn't agree with. But I think it's possible just because Wolves have completely dropped off the cliff. I know we talked about them as a good defensive defensive team, but within the last few weeks, I don't think they've been particularly good. I mean, you can see results such as like conceding 3 to Leeds, 3 to Brighton. I mean, the City game where KDB went on fire. I mean, that's not a great example, but this is a team that was actually very consistently getting clean sheets and keeping scorelines low, and they haven't really done that lately. So I think there is definitely a bit of an argument to say Liverpool could blow them apart. So let's have a look at this team. It's a very differential backline. Is this a free hit? Sorry. So I like Mount. I mean, the midfield 4 is good. apart from Gordon. Obviously, we think Everton will probably rotate. So you've got Jansen, who I'd play, Sessegnon, who I'd play, Matip, who I'd play. Then you play a 3-4-3, I suppose. Seems like I guess there's one weak player, whatever formation you play. Because I can see 3 strong defenders, 4 strong midfielders, and 2 strong strikers. So you could maybe take an additional hit if you'd like. Yobo card. Salah to Son, do you need a -4? I don't think you need a -4 at all. No, I think Salah to Son is good enough. Captain Vardy, you have Son. I would still prefer captaining Son. You're top 75k 8 weeks ago, and somehow I found myself only just in the top 250k. Good season turned bad. Was hoping to get 50k. Do you think Reece James? I mean, I don't know. Reece News has shafted me. Well, what's with the Reece James news? No Alonso or James. Okay, this is not really helping at all. Yeah, there's so much trash news with leaks right now. Salah benched. Spurs players have travelled. Emi Martinez benched. Barnes starts. That seems to be the only reputable news so far, right? What's the Reece James news? Interesting. Alright, seems like we don't actually have any credible Reece James news, so I don't think that's super worried. Will, can you kind of show me the Reece James news that you're talking about? Salah to De Bruyne, yeah, that's the move that I've made for a -4, Akash. So I don't know if you're going to do the same move, but that's the move that I've made. Hey, Fran, you're currently top 5k in the world. That's fantastic. Completely understand why you wouldn't want to be playing it risky. I will say a De Bruyne captain is pretty risky, though. I'm thinking of Diaz to Alonso and Coutinho to another midfielder, perhaps. Okay, you'll be captaining Son. Yeah, fair enough. I guess you just go, what, Madison/Mount. I guess you don't want to play Watkins or Richarlison, I suppose. Yeah. I guess Alonso plus Madison might be interesting to spread risk because it would give you enough coverage. And if you're mostly concerned about keeping your rank, maybe Madison's interesting. Mount's a good captain pick. I do agree. I just think I do like the Spurs captaincy options slightly better. I think I'm just keeping James. Can't be asked with the -8 KDH off the bench. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Sam Martin is good news for Leicester, no, but not necessarily. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Andy's take here, where he doesn't usually have Leicester, I mean, non-Leicester news, so that's interesting. Um, and I don't know. This is kind of throwing a spanner into the works, isn't it? Don't really want to be playing without much of a team for the final game week, but I mean, I can't see myself benching James or Watford or Alonso, sorry. And I find it weird that Alonso wouldn't start his final game for Chelsea. Um, Agree with Andy Martin's take as well. Just Salah to Son or something else. Yeah, I think Salah to Son makes the most sense. As far as anything else, I mean, you've got an incredibly strong backline. The midfield looks fantastic. You can play a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1, so you've got a good bench option in both situations. I think your team's stacked, Santiago, so take it easy. Tom Heaton starts bargain. There's going to be a lot of bargain, young players who are going to play one game this season. But whether you guys actually pick that correctly is going to be a different story. Yeah, I don't know. It's such yeah, it's tough. Um, that's pretty funny. So yeah, I think that's sort of the situation. Have you guys do we have any kind of last minute leak news? I don't think there's anything too much. Kind of vague suspicions that it seems like Chelsea might have one or two odd benchings, but um I don't think I'm gonna necessarily play with that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Chelsea is gonna play at least Rudiger. Do you think Alonso or Reece is the better option? You got money for either. You're gonna take the James hit, are you? Okay. You like early team news? Oof. I can't go against it. I think going into Kane is fantastic if you're going out of Salah. So fair enough. Who do you think will get more points, Kane or Son? I think Kane. As a Son owner, I think Kane. Let's just see. I don't think we'll get any more updated Reece James news, so that's gonna be tough. But I think you have to be absolutely sure that Reece James would not start, and I'm kind of worried about that myself. Yeah. Doesn't seem to be any kind of late news on Chelsea, so I don't know. Unless Sam Martin has an exceptional source that we don't know. But yeah. Zaha starts, no Mateta, Raksaki starts. Interesting. Okay, well that kind of throws the spanner to some people who've had Mateta, I think, in their teams. So that's going to change some scenarios there. The site will probably crash soon. What's my final team selection? Yeah, let's just have a look at it together. It's going to be this team here. But it's really weak though because it doesn't have a bench, and I'm kind of worried about the Chelsea potential benchings. There's nothing I could have really done to really avoid it. Ultimately, I like De Bruyne for the hit. Rumors so far: Salah could EV bench, Chelsea to massively rotate. Yeah, but I feel like, see, the positive of this massive rotation news is that Mount didn't play last game. But the defenders could definitely hurt Chelsea for sure. Spurs full strength, Leicester full strength. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. So Mateta doesn't start. I mean, that's going to be interesting. So we're probably getting what, an Edouard start. Yeah, James Alonso is going to be tricky, but I feel like what is the best way to kind of avoid it? You could go Sessegnon, I suppose. I feel like, yeah, if any of you guys were originally thinking of going for a Chelsea defender, maybe just going for that third Tottenham defender could work out as well. Salah to Pukki to Kane to plus Barnes, or Maddison plus Vardy. Ooh, that's interesting. I like Maddison plus Vardy on the final day, if that's going to be your pairing. I mean, I could go Tony as well in this situation, or just go Sessegnon, worst case scenario. Just so I actually have good enough bench cover. My bench is shocking for this week, but it is what it is. And this tweet is gonna absolutely crucify some people. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the advice. You've been so great. Good luck for this game week and have a great summer break. You too as well. Take care and have a lovely summer. Yeah, guys, absolutely make your transfers. The site's gonna crash soon, so let's make our transfers. The last minute news is just a lot of doubt over Chelsea defenders and things like that. Ultimately, though, I think I'm going to ride with hoping Alonso or James and one of them starts, and I'll just take it from there. I don't think we're going to get any last minute Chelsea news within the last 9 minutes, so we'll see what happens. Zaha to Bone for -4. I think it's not worth it for me. I feel like Brighton are actually quite a good team. They seem to actually stifle a lot of top midfielders, if that makes sense. I can't remember any kind of massive midfielder hauls against Brighton. They have one-off bad games from time to time, but if I remember lately, just the Spurs game, the Arsenal game, even the Liverpool game at times, I don't think players necessarily explode against Brighton. And then when I think about Zaha, he always plays well versus United, so I do like going for Zaha. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna call it a day here. I really don't know what to do with the Chelsea news. I'm just gonna hope, you know, early rumors that Bowen may be rested. Okay, that's not helpful. Good luck with you as well, Christopher. Take care. Pep Guardiola calls on MCFC fans to create a deafening noise back in the team as they make final day push for the title. Right, that's a little bit of a buff for KDB, but yeah, Richie to Tony, Son to captain. Alonso, James, Ings, Coutinho coming in, so that's gonna be tricky. I think one thing that kind of colors my logic death by DNA is that ultimately Leicester haven't necessarily had anything to play for when it comes down to European places within the last few weeks, but they've still had really good offensive performances. So that's kind of why I'm interested in going for I would be more interested in going for Madison this week than Bowen, if I was being perfectly honest. What do you think about this free hit team from Booker? So Raya, Sessegnon, Robertson, Laporte, Matip, Son, Mount, Foden, Diaz, Kane, Vardy. Yep, Kane, Vardy's nice. Foden, Diaz is nice. Mount is nice. Son is nice. The back line is interesting because I feel like Laporte definitely plays, so it does cover you in the best way possible. I think that's a lovely free hit. Also, thank you, Henry, so much for being a member for 7 months. It's been a pleasure having you around. Zaha to Bone -4. I wouldn't really take that hit. Watkins to Jesus for a -4. Also, probably, I'm not sure what the state of your bench is, Wong. But if you have a good enough bench to kind of cover for a circumstance where Jesus doesn't play, fine. But that -4 could be nice if you want to take a hit. But understand that it could also have a very low ceiling. Kane, Son, Barnes, captain. I like Kane the most out of all those three options, if I was being honest. And I'm a Son owner myself. I will be captaining Son. Best of luck to you as well, Scott, for the final game week. Piotr says Zaha or Davies, Ramsdale or Schmeichel. I like Ramsdale, and I like Davies if you're talking Davies from Tottenham, because I do back the Tottenham clean sheet today. Good luck, appreciate the content, plenty of green arrows today, and to all of you as well. Andy benched Alonso. Oh my god. Has he actually done so? Fair enough. Eduard starts tonight for Crystal Palace. I just don't want to take another hit. This is so depressing. Yeah. I mean, I've got no clue. Kane or KDB for captain? Kane. 3 people told him James starts, but Alonso doesn't. 1 is legit, he says. Why would Alonso not start his final game for Chelsea, though? It's so strange. And it's the final home game, too. Everyone's benching him. Do I have to make a last minute move to Sessegnon just to cover myself? That's hilarious. I don't know. I feel like I might just stick with Alonso. We can just hope for like a great send-off goal for him. That's the best case scenario that I have, I think, since I've already made the Alonso transfer. I don't think we're gonna get any later news, so I mean, Andy benched him. That's fine. I'm starting both Alonso and James. It is what it is. There's nothing else I can really do about it. I mean, Roy Leicester is terrible. I don't know. I think I'll just. I mean, I don't have any kind of inside sources myself, so it is what it is, really. Two minutes left, and Kede in for Alonso, who is apparently benched. Hmm. Diaz starts. That's going to be super interesting. So that's a potential move for a lot of owners. You got Pookie first sub, Andy benched him, Pookie Warden Cash, who should be the first sub? I think Pookie probably is your most interesting sub there. Oh, if Alonso's benched, man, do I really have to take another -4? Alright, let's go for it. Fuck it. Alright, I'm just taking another -4 for Sessegnon just in case. Yeah. And hopefully Alonso doesn't play. You went Cess and Jesus for Alonso and Kedia. Fair enough. Thanks, everyone. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Super last minute deadline transfer for me. I don't know. I really hope Alonso gets benched because that -8 hurt bad. Alright, guys. Take care. You're 0.1 off getting James. Surely he doesn't start over Alonso. I mean, honestly, I don't even know. At least I have one interesting bench player that I would love to come on for anyone else in my team, but that's pretty much what it's all about. all those years for gaming has paid off for those last minute deadline transfers. I don't even know if I got it off. Hopefully I did. Anyways, guys, it's been wonderful having you guys this season. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you guys next year for both the World Cup. Not next year, sorry, but next summer for the World Cup and FPL. Definitely, if I was to review my season, I would say I was very unimpressed with my performance after the first 8 or 9 weeks. So a lot of things to kind of think about for the next year to improve, both in terms of content and then also my own kind of playing FPL. But I hope you guys have had a wonderful year. I hope you guys have enjoyed the content and enjoyed football as well. Because at the end of the day, you probably are playing fantasy because you love football and not vice versa. So take care, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful week and best of luck. Many, many green arrows to you all, and I'll see you guys very shortly.